You may not realise this from what you've seen of me online, but I've found myself on a path of self-destruction a few times in my life. A series of events that thankfully I'm now able to take a step back from and reflect on. Serious problems that I thought were unrelated, I can now see are in fact connected and have roots from one source, my childhood.
I think it's important to say from the start that I did not have a terrible childhood. Quite the opposite, in fact, especially given the current context of the world we live in. But there was one overarching fundamental belief that I had for 15 years growing up. It was that being gay was wrong, shameful, and unacceptable. It really spiraled over the years, and it created a complex web of negative, conditioned thoughts. This subsequently led to many other debilitating beliefs, all of which I now know are of course not true, but some of these included, I am not enough, I am alone, and I need to prove myself worthy of love. All of these beliefs were interpreted by me as a young boy from what I heard, saw and felt. Not through one individual voice, and my family certainly never said any of those things, but I interpreted them through the collective voice of the society that I lived in, and especially the media. This was despite me growing up in a middle-class part of England and being surrounded by a caring, liberal family.
The voice of society was so strong and so clear to me. I remember that from very early on, I believed wholeheartedly that being gay, being myself, was not only something that should be hidden, but was something that I should be well and truly ashamed of.
That feeling of fear, shame and self-hatred was incredibly stressful for me as a child. But sadly, it soon became normal for me to feel that way every day. Suppress those feelings. I don't even remember much of my childhood, if I'm at all honest. It's taken work for me to go back and revisit it. I guess I managed to block it out. I acknowledge that I haven't lived an extreme life in poverty, in war or racial injustice. For this, I'm so grateful. It's easy to say in hindsight when looking back at my situation. I was actually very lucky. Could have been much worse. Maybe it wasn't that bad. But what we experience as children is all we know. Shame, like fear, isn't always rational. It's all-consuming and can't be held in comparison, especially when instilled as a child. That chronic stress I internalised every day for 15 years, I can now see was in fact an accumulated emotional trauma. I was led to believe that after coming out, things would get better. And in so many ways they did. I was so elated to be free of that lie I'd held onto for so long, and so relieved I could now go out into the world and start living my best life. I jumped right into living authentically as a gay man. But authenticity didn't come naturally to me because I'd actually been conditioned to behave a certain way my entire life. I was acting from a point of fear and shame because I had no other point of reference to go from. I didn't know how to be authentic. I only knew how to be someone else. And of course, there were no gay role models or mentors for me to look up to or to show me the way.
So it's not really surprising that I went on to create yet another persona as a gay man. Someone who I thought I should be. Someone who I thought others would want me to be.
At the age of 19, I transitioned into this brand new shiny chapter of my life, and I had a lot of fun. But I was moving at such a fast pace that I didn't give deeply ingrained parts of me any time to either catch up, adapt, or just be told, thank you for keeping me safe up until this point, but I really don't need you anymore. Instead, I just layered glitter and sparkles on top of that fear and shame, subconsciously hoping that by doing so, I'd effectively leave the past behind me. But surprise, surprise, it caught up with me and re-emerged under a new guise. I found out the hard way by not processing everything that happened to me before coming out. I was later in life to be presented with some serious personal, mental health and physical health challenges. I didn't anticipate that years after coming out, I'd be all consumed by something of that same scale all over again. But I was, twice. first by an eating disorder, which I kept secret for 10 years throughout my 20s. And then finally, occupational burnout from working myself into absolute exhaustion when eventually my body just gave up. Now, my story isn't unique. There are lots of people out there with similar backgrounds, many with sadly much worse, but not all of them get the chance to change direction like I did before it's too late. That's reflected in the shocking rate of male suicide today.
So in my next video, I'm going to share some more about my personal story in the hope of inspiring others to start reflecting on their own. Hopefully there is something to learn from what I'm sharing, and if anything, I just hope it encourages people to be a bit more kind and compassionate during this period, especially within the queer community, because we know the life we portray digitally, it's not reality. There's so much more that we don't know about what someone has been through, what they're going through.
I have to add as well that, as well as all of the love and guidance I've had from my friends and family, I have had a lot of great professional medical support too. If you're considering, delving into some of these issues and potentially into past events or trauma, I would really advise to ensure that you have a proper support network there first. And I've popped some links below, or you can message me for any more information. But yeah, thank you.